Right now, a woman gets ready to open her business. A farmer checks on his livestock. A baker takes out her first batch. In every part of the world, each day starts anew with their mission of bringing satisfaction and happiness through food. Each bread kneaded with love. Each meal handled with care. This noble undertaking is our passion, to provide the best of ingredients and the best of breeds. By being your partner, we have the opportunity to feed the world. We are one food group. The food subsidiary of one of the top conglomerates in the Philippines, Aboitiz Equity Ventures. With over 100 years of advancing business and communities, we occupy a niche in its core businesses by being its integrated food and agribusiness company. Guided by our principles of guidance, consistency, and results, we are dedicated to partnering with our stakeholders to grow and scale their businesses. Above and beyond our quality products, we provide solutions and build partnerships for growth. As one of the industry leaders, we are relentless in our pursuit of excellence by acquiring capacities and capabilities to further expand our footprint across the Asia Pacific. Today, Pilmico and Gold Coin have a strong multinational presence. We have multiple research and production facilities all over the Asia Pacific. We take pride in continuously cultivating an agile and multicultural workforce that is driven by our values of integrity, teamwork, innovation, and responsibility. With these combined strengths, we are equipped to take a leadership position in innovating the food value chain. After a day of labor, everyone deserves a bountiful harvest that will bring happiness in every gathering, in every order, and in every plate we come home to.
Good afternoon, everyone, and happy Friday! Ayan, welcome to the first ever episode of the Food Group learning series called Think Tank Talks. I'll be your moderator for today. My name is Elizabeth Ten Alunan of Organization Effectiveness. And in behalf of the People Experience team, we'd like to say thank you for being here with us this afternoon. Okay, with this platform, Think Tank Talks, we hope to help you in your development journey through the different topics that we will be covering in this series. And speaking of development journey, for today, we will be learning more about how we can track our progress as a team. How do we keep up with our scorecards? Actually, I'm so excited to introduce to you our speaker for today. I'm really giddy since this morning because, well, he's just loved by everyone. Okay. Okay. So before I hand you over to him, let me tell you three outstanding things about this person. First, he is a leader. He sets the vision for his team. Then, he coaches them, he develops them, and guides them so that as a team, they will achieve their goals and targets. So, yes, definitely he is a leader. Second, this person is an innovator. He is always implementing new ways of getting things done, from the different process improvements in his department down to improving their KPIs and metrics year on year. So, yep, an innovator. And third, he is a teacher, not just literally because he teaches in a university. This person is a teacher in the real sense of the word because he is always ready to share his knowledge to others, just like what he will do today. Ladies and gentlemen, it's my pleasure to introduce to you and to welcome on screen a leader, an innovator, and a teacher, our very own Food Group Philippines Vice President for Supply Chain, Mr. Teddy Deocares. Good afternoon, Sir Teddy.
Yeah, good afternoon. Yeah, I'm hearing some virtual claps in my head. So thank you, Ten, for that wonderful introduction. I hope I can do justice with your first think tank talks. And happy TGIF, everyone. So the most important thing here is let's have some fun learning and sharing information and best practices to our partners. And I'll make this light, provocative, funny, and informative at the same time since it's Friday naman. So let's have that good vibes coming in with a bit of educational learning infused into it. Okay, so first slide, please. Okay, so again, in this particular slide, I always say this every time we discuss about KPIs with our fellow partners, that the strong protection that we have to remain in the company is our performance. And that is true as what Brian Tracy mentioned here, that the true measure of the value of any business leader and manager is performance. That's why managers often talk about performance at the level of the individual, at the level of the department, in terms of the goals and objectives, so we achieve the overall strategic vision and mission of the company. Next slide, please. Okay, so for this one, I'll not enter into a very lengthy discussion in terms of what KPI is, how did I do my visioning, but rather just an overview, which will be the first part, and the KPI specifics for the second one, and the third one will be the discussion points to spur and initiate a discussion with your team members so you arrive at the correct KPI. Next, please. Okay, so in this particular slide, rather than I go directly and define what KPI is, what I am laying down here is really the overall food group vision and mission, and how this vision mission would link to the strategic objectives, pillars, and critical areas. Okay, so it's really very important to immerse and memorize the vision, which is an integrated regional agribusiness and food company. And our mission is feeding humanity. Okay, and at first, since we have a strategic objective of BOD in gold coin as the new one, and the strategic pillar, the old one. At first, they might look different, but this particular house shows you how they could harmoniously blend, in which balance would refer to the grow the business and optimize with execution and stakeholder engagement and develop. And of course, the critical areas, the balance scorecard, which is, of course, also aligned with financials for balance, internal processes, customers, and learning and growth. And of course, the timeless avoidance values of ETIR, which would serve as the foundation in this particular house. Okay, next, please. Okay, in this particular slide, it is important that we would actually have a vision as well in a department, because that departmental vision should be connected with the overall food group vision. By having that link, although it's really very difficult to cement the two together, at least there is a direction that we are heading to that particular path. Okay. And the ones presented to you here, they look good on paper, di ba? Parang, wow, ganda naman nito. May pillar, may level, may definition, measure, okay? But to be honest with you, this looks good on paper. But if you try to actualize and map out all of the measures of your team members, especially in my case, in which I have 4 departments with almost 100, more than 100 members, it's really a messy web of interconnections. Okay, and not only that, but it also would look into KPI level 1, level 2, level 3, level 4, and all those sorts of things that you can look for every time you see it. Okay, and then this one just shows us that this is our strategic pillar for the grow the business under supply chain, under EBITDA. So we're looking at the expenses, the volume growth, and of course, the total supply chain cost. Each department is different, but thanks to the group of Cleo and of course HR for really having to cement all this together so we have a standardized scorecards across the company. Okay, so I just presented you this particular pillar on the objectives for grow the business, execution excellence. Next, please. So we also have this particular KPIs, also focusing again on executional excellence. And next, please. Okay, and of course, lastly, we have the stakeholder management and build human capital. Okay, so again, that particular slide would just show you how the vision and mission would react to the departmental. So here, this shows you the overarching supply chain vision. Since supply chain is composed of 4 departments, each of them also should possess the vision and mission. So once you bind them together, you arrive at the supply chain vision, which is to be the most cost efficient, effective, and sustainable supply chain solutions provider. And the mission would be the building better relationship with stakeholders. Okay. So aside from the overall, so look at your departmental mission and vision as a microcosm of the entire food group vision mission. So in a way, you're also creating that mini company within a large company. Next, please. Okay, and here one is the value of supply chain. As I mentioned in the past, there are 4 departments, okay? And in the ideal world, value of each department is articulated, okay? But most often than not, every time there's a new employee, they don't know what their KPI is. Ano bang gagawin ko dito? Okay, and then sometimes they're there, bahala ka na sa buhay mo. Okay, so that employee do not know the value of their department, because you have to show to the employee the departmental value and contribution to the very existence of our organization. So for example, for logistics, they create and increase the value of business by connecting entities. Procurement for the purchase of related goods, customer care for the customers, and planning is at the helm, connecting all of the analytics and systems together. Okay, so I could not emphasize that enough, that the value of your department has to be cascaded even at least once a year, especially if there are new trends to the department, and which would also challenge the existing TO structure that you have. by reading through journals, webinars, and even other trends in the industry. Next. Okay, so again, I've mentioned about the visioning. So as per the great leader, Nelson Mandela, action without vision is only passing time. Okay. Vision without action is merely daydreaming, but vision with action can change the world. Okay. So that's why I started with the vision, because sometimes we are too focused operationally. Oh, ano yung KPI natin? Sige, gawin na natin. But saan ba ako tutungo? What's my purpose? Why am I here? Okay. So you have to have that sense, that quintessential sense of existence, why you are there in your organization. Okay. Sige, next. Okay, so the food group also has their 10-year strategic map. And as a department of supply chain, we also conjured a 10-year direction strategy map, so that we could also lay down the guidelines for our KPIs, because our KPIs have to start somewhere aside from the vision. So this one would be the bridge between your vision and the operational level KPI. So it's like a roadmap on where you want to be, which in our case would be a sustainable, collaborative, and connected supply chain. Okay, and our goal here really is superb customer experience and minimal operating costs. Okay, so we do visioning within our team, which we conducted late last year, so they understand what's our vision, why are they there, and how do we get there. Okay, and based from that, then we have attributes like cost, responsiveness, reliability, asset efficiency, and full flexibility, which we marry with the quality teams, BP teams, and HR teams of organizational-wide parameters, so they get standardized. Okay, next, please. Okay, so a KPI, okay, as a refresher lang, I hope you don't get bored. A quantifiable measure used to evaluate the success of an organization, employee, etc., in meeting objectives for performance. It's also a way of measuring effectiveness of an organization and its progress towards achieving its goals. Okay, so look at it as really a guide to whether did we do well or not? Because honestly, we cannot improve what we do not measure. Peter Drucker, and that's one of the important management guru in the 20th century. So it's really important to embed KPI and data-driven results, so it could be translated into a behavior. Okay, next. Okay, so speaking of KPI, we have KPI level 1. Next, please. And next again, and KPI level 2. Usually, KPI level 1 is like the motherhood or the generic KPI categorization. So usually, this one is for the president and COO. And for the KPI level 2, mostly for the COO and some VPs. And then you have level 3, VPs, AVPs, and even specialists, and level 4. Okay, so as you increase the number of that level, you go to a very granular measurement of KPIs. Okay, so if you're a staff, you could really, because the secret ingredient is not to measure everything that moves. That's wrong, but rather how would that get connected with our objective and the vision. Okay, but of course there are instances where we really have to measure that degree of granularity, because it would impact the higher level KPIs. Okay, so next. So why do we track KPIs? Ba't ba importante to? Hindi ba parang acting lang to? Para lang compliance? Because honestly, in the past, pag meron lang salary increase, sige, KPI, fill out natin, di ba? Which is actually not a good practice. So we really have to track our KPIs, because as mentioned here, it gives greater accountability, relevance, and these are really supported by the literature out there, and has proven its worth already. And of course, KPI would also tell you that hindi tayo hampas lupa, I mean, may silbi tayo. And this KPI would be a representation of that value. That's why it's also very important that the value of individuals' contribution is seen by tracking the KPIs. Next. Okay, so at an organizational level, the benefits of the tracking KPI would be an org-wide improvement in the performance, retention and loyalty, productivity, and of course, accountability. And this one would lend support to our responsibility. And for the manager, this, because as we go higher the corporate ladder, I don't have that degree of visibility anymore. Okay, downstream. So you have to institute KPIs which would serve as your guideline so that most of your generals and team leaders won't go awry and just be a lost sheep. Okay, and of course, employees benefits clarifies expectations of the employees. Wala yung, ay, pinupolitika ako ni boss, hindi niya ako gusto, favorite niya to. The type of dramas, we avoid that because at least nami-measure na yung KPI. And then you also tend to be self-critical once you have your KPI. Okay? So this one, you ask yourself, oh my God, mali ba ako? Ano bang kulang ko ba dito? Parati akong bumabagsak. So it gives you that challenge to improve yourself if you are lagging in that KPI. And again, clarifies the job accountabilities and contributes to improved performance and clearly defined career paths and enhances job satisfaction. Kasi maganda pag yung KPI mo mataas, wow, in fairness, may silbi pala ako. Yun. So that is really important KPI. Okay, next please. Okay, so when I assumed the supply chain role in 2019, I already started tweaking the KPIs of procurement in 2017. Okay, because as per their anecdotes, they usually do their KPIs pag may salary increase lang. But of course, that shouldn't be the case because there should be a monthly monitoring of the KPIs. And in 2017, logistics as well has their KPI, but is subsumed under the production matrix. So there are other avenues and areas of logistics na kailangan i-flashlight na hindi nakikita in the past. Okay, and 2018 comes the introduction of customer experience as part of our team. And 2019, we try to adjust all of the KPIs together. And 2020, then we align each other's KPIs because my KPI has an impact on the other KPIs department, not only within the internal supply chain, but also externally, like legal, production, sales, and they impinge in each other's benefits. And sometimes there are trade-off. Okay, so for example, sige, pa-deliver lang kayo, pa-deliver, okay? But obviously, that has a financial impact in terms of the inventory cost of storage and potential obsolescence, okay? So, I'm just chatting and chatting here, but I'll just have to show you what we did in our team using an intranet, okay? So next slide, please. Okay, so I'm gonna share my slide to you. So guys, can you see it? 10?
Yes, we can see it.
Yeah, okay. So we created an intranet of supply chain official where we put here the minutes of the meeting, procurement planning, the COVID restrictions, which we have twice a week. And we put and organized it into one intranet. Because just like I've told you in the past, napakadami namin and I can't monitor all of them. So rather than call them individually, this would serve as my Bible para makita ko yung mga pinaggagawa namin and nila. Okay, so here, so you could see all of the KPIs for the supply chain leaders. That's me, Isa, Juhai, Cynthia, Renel, and Kang. Okay, so we each have our strategic direction and job description. Okay, this is just for my particular view because I am also graded by the efficiency of my leaders as one of my KPIs. Okay, and as you can see here in July, I have 2.6 from 3.7 because I revised my KPI in the latter half of the year. Okay, which would bring us to tip number 1, which will be discussed later on. Okay, and not only that, but if I click, let's say, inbound logistics, for example, the first thing, guys, if you have a department, you have to list down all of your team members and have a group summary, which is seen by this one: January, February, March, April, June, and the average score of the team. And you also have to write here the measurement, analysis, improvement results. That's the term we have here, which is MAIR, which would tell you the general gauge of the KPI. So for inbound logistics, they're looking at the RM unloading rate. Okay, so they're looking at this for the truck, for the vessel, etc. And it's really a composite index. So they could measure the MAIR rate para hindi masyadong marami. Okay. And they also place here their raw data, which you can click if you want to gauge on a monthly basis for the sourcing of their data. So they ensure that the veracity and accuracy of data are all written here. So you just have to click it. So for example, if you wanted to know yung sa vessel nito, then you could actually have that particular area to look into. Okay. So yeah. And then for the particular other departments, you have your outbound, and farm logistics is also here. So farm logistics, they held all their positions there. And then there are certain movements within that particular team. It's also written there. And they also have their KPI alignment. So if you grow the business, sinong in charge dito, si supervisor ba, si manager, specialist. So everything's stick down so they know which responsibility would they fall. So if I click one of them, then they have this particular grading system. And this is usually been talked into on a monthly basis every time there's a departmental meeting. So they get flagged in terms of the best in class and of course those who would be needing help. Okay, so I think that's just an example. And we also put here our MANCOM presentations, which is the feeds, flour, and meats. So we have a consolidated report every time there is a MANCOM, every second week or third week of each month. Okay, so back to you, Ten, for the slide. Yeah, so hopefully I'm not speaking too fast, but hopefully it's clear. Sige. So, okay, Cedric, okay. Yeah, sorry, medyo mabagal lang internet. So, yeah, okay. So the ones I've shown you is already the output of the teamwork, effort, and collective responsibilities discussed between and among supply chain partners. And the reality check is it's not always easy. You know, we have revamped this 1,000 times. We change weights, we change measures, and sometimes other departments would complain on the others, you know, that type of thing, but it's okay. That's part of the process. So don't despair if you feel na ano ba to, wala kayong na-achieve, but at the end of the day, you can really finish that particular KPI. Sige, next. Okay, so some of the key challenges when I did the KPI presentation and monitoring with the team, and of course, these are also inputs from the team leaders and members, is that first is setting the correct metrics for the KPI with no established baseline or no data at all. Okay. So you would like to measure something in your department, but when you try to measure it, oh my God, wala palang data to. Ano bang ginagawa ko? So that is really an issue. And second, consolidating all data from the whole team, especially like a large team of mine, you really have to have patience and even formulas, okay, when doing this data consolidation. And of course, we have to be abreast with the relevance of the KPI. Baka kopong-kopong pa yung mini-measure nyo at hindi na relevant. So you really have to check it every now and then during your monthly discussion. And of course, the consistency in monitoring KPI results. Again, ang gandang tignan, pero guys, yung pag-maintain nito, it's so difficult. That's why you really have to be very persistent, makulit ka dapat, and talagang pinapakita sa monthly meeting nyo ang KPIs of all people. And whether we like it or not, some team members are non-believers of KPI. Okay, especially yung mga may, especially yung thunders na, sorry, especially pag ano na, they are challenged or ang daming work. But of course, they have to really spend time to focus in terms of KPI development. Okay, because of course we cannot please everybody. And to address these challenges, next slide, please. There I enumerated here some solutions that might be needed. So if you don't have the needed data, then your KPI should revolve around establishing the data. So you get a 5 if you establish that data for that first 6 months, and the other months would be the establishment of the baseline data by collecting those data. That's one way of looking at it. And if consolidation is difficult, which is the second issue, you organize raw data neatly and link them. And one of the initiatives of procurement by Jazz is really to automate the KPI result so that we don't compute anymore. Alam mo yun? So every first week of the month, may mag-email lang and nakabarandra na lahat ng KPI doon para mag-isa niya magka-calculate. Okay, so hopefully when that becomes successful, it will be emulated by other supply chain departments so that we don't have that meticulousness of deriving, of computing, which can be very, very troublesome and laborious. Okay, and the next is I'm not able to update my scorecard. That's why may monthly discussion parati. Okay, that's the only one para ma-ensure that scores are updated and they check on failing metrics as well. And if some of your TMs are not engaged, then always start with the visioning. Kasi sometimes hindi nila alam bakit kailangan to. So you tell them na this is the vision and this vision would connect to the strategy which would then connect you at an individual basis, sabihin nyo, so that they could see their value and contribution. And then last is, what if their KPIs are not relevant anymore? Okay, so you try to realign and provide some KPI cut-offs, assuming na, okay, itong KPI na to would just be okay for first year. On the second year, kahit alisin na siya. Okay, because we did that as well in one department where KPI dati is accuracy in terms of encoding in the PO. Pero nung medyo they got the hang of it, that KPI got eliminated already because it's no longer relevant. What's relevant would be, of course, the PR aging and attending the requests of the end users. Okay, next, please. Okay, so I started our KPI journey for the entire team maybe last year, fourth quarter, and sure enough, there are already tangible benefits. It's bearing fruit already of the KPI monitoring. So an example would be the inbound logistics case, and there are issues that are to be seen when doing inbound. The timeliness is always delayed, walang clear target sa unloading, basta dumating lang yan, pwede na yan, you know, that type of thing, because no one's looking at it. And no target for measuring accuracy as well. And why would ba't ako mag-effort kung yan lang pala, di ba? Hindi naman na may measure. But when we started measuring it, based on the next slide, please, we are able to really see improvements in terms of the timeliness of system transaction. So from the mid 70s, it now arrived to the high 70s. Same with the unloading rate. And for the PFC feeds inventory accuracy for RM spares, you could see that during February, parang meron siyang bumagsak na particular area doon. Okay? And that one would merit further investigation from our end. Bakit siya bumagsak? So the KPI could also be a diagnostic of a problem. Okay? Na anong nangyari dito? Nagpalit ba kami ng tao? Meron bang nag-resign? You know, that type of thing. Because it would really show you. And this one clearly shows the improvements if we measure KPIs. Next. And same with the procurement as well. Dati, the PRs, they're not looking into. So once you arrive here, parang, ang dami-daming PRs. Tapos yung pala, hindi na-attend. So here, in this particular slide, I don't know if you can see it, you could see all of the procurement team members dyan. At yung mga red, yan yung mga, oh my God, yan yung mga delegates na may mga PR aging summary above 60. Next, please. And that's for the January 2020. And once you compare it to the July 2020, you could see na may mga red pa dyan, but at least nabawasan na siya. Because red here means that they have a PR that age 30 days and above. So this one, mafa-flag sila. So for example, in this case, meron kay Jim, kay Ardith, kay Jen, those would really signal them to an action. Okay, next. And another example of the tangible benefits nito under the procurement is measuring the aging of PRs. Okay, so once we started measuring it from a 213 age PR, naging 5 na lang this July. Okay, and of course, indirectly, it's making the end users happy as well. Dahil yung PR nila na-convert na into PO. And if we go longer, in 2018, that went as high as 321 to 250. Okay, so next, please. Okay, so once we look at the customer experience, then this one different naman. So from 99%, 99 naging bumaba siya sa April. Kasi parang wow, taas-taas ng score nyo ha, pero bakit nagwawala yung mga customer? Parang something's not right. So yun, so it's also a way of really revisiting your KPIs. Baka we missed something there during some complaints management logging ng cases, okay? And same thing here. If you're looking at, let's say, not so, what's this? An exacerbating case of performance na bumababa siya, then maybe you could streamline some of the job responsibilities, ibalasa mo yung manpower mo, and maybe there are other team members who are more apt in terms of doing that certain KPIs so that that entire scores would be protected and maintained. Sige, next. Okay, so I'll just share you some 5 tips on how to go about the effectiveness of the KPI. Para at least mas bongga siya at hindi kayo mas stressed. Okay? So first is be ready to revise your lists. Okay? Again, the KPI is not cast in stones. It's something that's evolving, adapting. It's known for its spontaneity sometimes. So you have to be very cautious about this particular revision as well. Okay? And second is less is more. At the onset, we have 13 to 15 KPIs. And that one, when we try doing it, it's not very productive anymore. Because all of your time na-spend na sa pagka-calculate, ang dami na nagwawala ng customer, ng mga end users, okay? So as much as possible, we have to limit our KPI. And the best KPI is between 4 to 10, FYI, based on some articles that I've read. And of course, the tip is regularly monitoring of KPIs. Again, we have to think of sustainability. This is not something na, okay, for January, okay ka, tapos next mo April. No, it has to be on a stable frequency. So January, February, March, until June, dapat connected yan and dire-diretso. Walang lull. Okay? And there are 2 indicators that have to be seen here. The weekly or daily, depending on you, that would be your leading indicators. Okay, when we say leading indicators, this would lead the team members to act. Okay, so, and then of course, monthly for lagging indicators, a majority of our KPIs are really lagging indicators. Once natapos na yung buwan, doon lang tayo nag-measure. Okay, but we're trying to really make our KPI more dynamic and interactive by going to the leading indicators. Okay, so ang leading indicators, if I could share my screen. Okay, so we have a Power BI in the leading indicators. created by the customer experience team. And of course, thanks to Gina for helping us as well. 10, can you see my screen?
It's already there.
Ayan. So, can you see, guys? 10?
Yes, Sir Ted.
Can you see it?
Yep. Mm.
Okay, yeah. So in here, in this particular Power BI, from August 1 to August 14, ang na-dispatch lang natin na customer under feeds, Pansy and PFC, is 17,000 tons. Okay? And yung sales order, which is the order ng customers natin, na age 15 to 29, andito sa taas. Oh. So you could see na may 28, 16, 29 days. And this particular days, medyo, oh my God, bakit di pa na-serve tong mga customers na to? So this would trigger the SC department through customer experience to talk to order fulfillment and sales para kulitin yung customer natin bakit hindi siya nadadivert. Because either wala tayong stocks, kinancel nila, or walang transportation, or hindi lang talaga nila na-pick up. Okay? So, you have to really look into the aging. Once na flag tong aging SOs, then mati-trigger yung department to follow up every day para ma-serve siya. And of course, not only that, but we could also see here yung potential dispatch na makukuha natin in the next few days, for example. So if I try to adjust this based on time, then you're gonna see na by August 19, meron tayong 1,300 tons na ilalagay, tapos may 561 on the other. So it gives you in hindsight that figure na titignan mo. And ito yung mga hindi na serve sa baba, kaninong customers and ilang quantity. Okay, and of course, there are 6 particular boxes for this with the combination of volume per status by customer and volume per status by region and volume per status by SKU. Okay, so you have that combination so that we can drill down into details if you want to follow up. Okay, so back to your slide 10. Yan. Okay. And then of course, start with the right question. Why are we having this KPI ba? Ano bang silbi nito sa akin? Okay, so you start first with the issue na nag-hamper sa achievement ng vision and mission. Okay, so pag ano ba to? Parating may variance. Ano ba yan? Di ba? Gaganunin ka. So, you have to be conscious about that. And by asking the right question, you're able to prod the mind of your employee by suggesting and proposing the relevant KPIs. And of course, lastly, maintain a healthy balance. And thanks to the template by quality team, the VP, and HR, at least yung healthy balance, andun na yung grow the business, which is a financial. You also have execution excellence, operational excellence, and stakeholder management for the relationship, and build human capital. Kasi, for example, sa sales, hindi naman 100% makakabenta ka lang. Di ba? Nakabenta ka, hindi ka nakakolekta, di useless, So, the KPIs have to be balanced. So, meron kayo sa process, may people kayo, may system. So, you know that that KPI becomes sustainable. Sige, next. Okay, so progress monitoring is a shared responsibility. Okay, don't wait for your team leaders na, oh, saan yung update nyo? Ano nangyari na? Okay, no. Even before the agenda of your monthly meeting, kailangan from your end, you have to do your share na finifill out nyo yung mga KPI nyo based on that metrics. It's really integrity and responsibility. Na you have to do this so that everyone's doing their share. Kasi ipapakita yun during the monthly meeting. Sige, next. Yeah, next please. Ayan. Okay, and then of course, communication is key. So this is the starting point where you can talk to your team members pag medyo virginal pa kayo, very fresh sa KPI formation. So you could really initiate discussion by asking your team members or the team as a group, are we hitting our targets? Are we on track? What's working? What is generating value? Ano ba yung problema natin or hurdle? And then, may kailangan ba tayo from management? Ano ba yung kailangan na assistance na further na we could ask or elicit from them? And do we have the right priorities or iba ba? Okay, so those are the things that we look into. So in case na hindi pa kayo sanay sa KPI, this could be your guiding questions for your team members and the departments. Sige, next. I think that ends my presentation. So I would like to end that people lose their way when they lose their why. Okay. So thank you, Ten. So for the presentation, because I think lumagpas na ako ng 2 minutes. Yeah.
That's okay, Sir Teddy. Thank you so much for that insightful talk. I'm sure that our partners had their takeaways. Let me share my takeaways. Number one, I've learned that we have to continuously talk about our KPIs in our team meetings. Number two, that KPIs are not cast in stone, na hindi lang pala dapat tayo nakikip up sa scorecard. Dapat yung scorecard nakikip up din, right? Depende sa need, sa activities natin in our department. And then lastly, the birth pains of gathering data, organizing them, totally outweighs the benefits of tracking our KPIs, because as you've shown in the cases that it helps you with decision making, diagnose a problem, and all the other issues or concerns, right? The KPIs will help us improve overall as an organization. I believe we have here questions. Are you ready, Sir Teddy, to answer?
Yeah,
Ayan.
sige, go.
Okay. So, question number one. As a team leader, how do I keep my team members engaged in updating our scorecard?
Okay, so I think one of the things that I really look into when talking about engagement na tao is really on having monthly updates. Okay, having that monthly updates every time nag-meet kayo is very essential to keep them engaged, so that their voices are heard, and you provide a sense of direction through vision reiteration. Sabihin mo na ito yung kailangan, why we are doing this, and of course the inner involvement or empowerment ng KPI nila. And of course, dapat open tayo as leaders in terms of their suggestion. And even if they want to revise their KPI, no matter how wild you think they can be, no, we should suspend our judgment and really accept na, okay, let's hear them out para they know na we are really listening to them sincerely.
Right. Okay, leaders, be open and hear them out. For question number two, yeah, if I work on a goal from January to September, but it turns out that the goal is not relevant anymore, yan, talking about changing KPIs, do I remove it from my scorecard? If yes, that does mean that my efforts will be wasted.
Okay. So again, choosing the right KPI is not always a straightforward process. Okay. It's not from A to B, B to C. No, it's not like that. It's not linear. It's not as neat as you might think. Okay. There might be curves and zigzags along the way, and every business is different and unique in their own way. And with that said, we have to take the time to arrive at the correct KPI. And if you feel na hindi siya relevant anymore, then you try to talk to your team leader and show them. Kasi meron namang timeline yan eh. Okay? From Jan to Des, ito yung nakikita mo. Okay? But from Jan to June, there is a revisit of your KPIs. So we talk amongst ourselves sa Jan to June, ano ba yung evaluation na nangyari sa amin? 'Di ba? Meron bang nagwala, may nagtumbling ba, may nagsabunutan ba, that type of thing. And then once you talk together Jan to June, then you present that collectively to the COOs. Okay? And the president na, guys, ito yung performance ng customer experience, ng logistics, ano pa ba yung kaya nyo? Okay? If you do that on a regular basis, then your KPI will be revisited and will become relevant from the perspective of management din. Kasi you consulted with them. And it's not wasted. Kasi measured yun at that time. So, part pa rin siya.
Okay, so that will still have its weight in the overall computation at the end of the year?
Correct. Kasama pa rin siya.
All right. Next question. Question number 3. I want to build a KPI dashboard for my team, but I don't know where to start. What advice can you give me?
I think when you're looking at dashboard, because most of the presentations we give sa Mancoms are usually dashboards, parang isang tingin mo lang, alam mo na ito yung ibig sabihin niya. So if noong particular na na dashboard. So let's say for logistics, ano ba yung gusto makita sa logistics? Okay? Maybe variance, monitoring. You could also look at attrition. Yung mga major KPIs nyo, i-lump nyo into one slide para isang tingin makikita agad. Okay.
Right. And then next question, please. Question number 4. Our team doesn't have a vision mission statement yet. Do we have to do it now?
I wouldn't say now, okay, but the sooner the better. So again, engage in a continuous dialogue with your team members, di ba? Ano ba ang world-class na, let's say, supply chain? Ano ba yung world-class na HR, di ba? You start from that and look at models by measuring ano ba yung maturity natin ngayon. Okay? So you compare it. How do you get from level 1 to level 4? And yung level 4 mo na yun would guide you kung ano yung mission vision mo. Okay? So really, at the end of the day, communication is key between and among your team members and team leaders. And you get those multitude of voices together and ipa-present sa management for their appreciation and comments and feedback.
So they should start thinking about it now and definitely convene, right, during the performance planning so that they can build their framework.
Correct. Because it's always best na may path and direction ka through a certain framework. May structure dapat.
All right. Thank you for that, Sir Teddy. I believe that is the last question. All right.
Ay, wow. Buti na lang. Tapos na.
Yes. Thank you so much, Sir Teddy. And before we go, we would like to invite you, everyone. And like what I said, this is the first episode of the Think Tank Talks, and there will be a next one next week, August 20. And our topic would be on change management with Eileen Nagpala. So everyone's watching this, please join us again next week. So again, Sir Teddy, thank you for your time and for your valuable insights. Partners, thank you for joining us today. So I hope your takeaways would help you keep up with your scorecards. Everyone, this has been Ten Alunan, and keep healthy and safe always. Happy Friday!
Happy Friday, guys. Thank you for listening. Bye.
Right now, a woman gets ready to open her business. A farmer checks on his livestock. A baker takes out her first batch. In every part of the world, each day starts anew with their mission of bringing satisfaction and happiness through food. Each bread kneaded with love. Each meal handled with care. This noble undertaking is our passion to provide the best of ingredients and the best of breeds. By being your partner, we have the opportunity to feed the world. We are one food group. The food subsidiary of one of the top conglomerates in the Philippines, Aboitiz Equity Ventures. With over 100 years of advancing business and communities, we occupy a niche in its core businesses by being its integrated food and agribusiness company. Guided by our principles of guidance, consistency, and results, we are dedicated to partnering with our stakeholders to grow and scale their businesses. Above and beyond our quality products, we provide solutions and build partnerships for growth. As one of the industry leaders, we are relentless in our pursuit of excellence by acquiring capacities and capabilities to further expand our footprint across the Asia-Pacific. Today, Pilmico and Gold Coin have a strong multinational presence. We have multiple research and production facilities all over the Asia-Pacific. We take pride in continuously cultivating an agile and multicultural workforce that is driven by our values of integrity, teamwork, innovation, and responsibility. With these combined strengths, we are equipped to take a leadership position in innovating the food value chain. After a day of labor, everyone deserves a bountiful harvest that will bring happiness in every gathering, in every order, and in every plate we come home to.